Developing at this hour, the daytime heist of an armored truck. Sources telling Action News $1.8 million was stolen when a pair of armed men robbed the truck in Tacony this morning.
Yeah, the thieves' getaway vehicle has been found by police, but no sign of the suspects. Here, Action News reporter Becca Hendrickson live at the scene where it happened with the latest right now. Becca.
Sources tell me this picture showing a masked man armed with an assault rifle is part truck.
It's too much money.
Now, you may or may not have seen on the news that Tacony armored truck robbery, but I damn sure did, and I decided to make a video on it, considering that a good old heist has always been a big part of Hollywood. Did you know that the movie Heat was loosely based on a true story of a Chicago detective by the name of Chuck Adamson and his pursuit of a career criminal named Neil McCulley? This famous scene right here.
I am never going back. Then don't take down scores.
I do what I do best. I take scores. You do what you do best, trying to stop guys like me.
If it's between you and some poor bastard whose wife you're gonna turn into a widow, brother, you are going down.
This was based on an actual meeting between the two men. And just like in the movie, in real life, that cat and mouse game would end in a hail of bullets. As Detective Adamson would shoot down Neil McCulley in real life. Ben Affleck, who wasn't just an actor in the movie The Town, but also director and co-writer of the film. He would talk about how he drew real-life references from actual bank robbers and also consulting with the FBI.
You know, all the prisons, you know, out there in Massachusetts, federal prisons, state prisons, and sat down and talked to guys who robbed trucks and banks. And, you know, kind of sometimes, you know, you want to know, and then sat down with the FBI guys. I was like, is anything just fucking weird ever happened or fucked up? Anything you remember? The guy was like, yeah, one time, you know, we were coming out of this thing, we robbed this truck, and, you know, we had the mask, we got the switch car, and we drove around the corner and whatever, we pull up, and we get out with fucking guns, the mask, the whole thing, and we look over, and it's this cop sitting there doing construction duty. And I was like, right then, he tell me a story, I was like, oh shit. I was like, what happened? He goes, you know, he looked at us, we looked at him, he looked the other way.
Whoa.
And I was like, really? He goes, yeah, he didn't want to end up on the wall at the VFW.
You didn't want to end up on the wall at the VFW.
Art imitating reality. Now, the Philly armored truck heist, where these two suspects made off with $1.8 million, is just the latest of brazen armed robberies taking place all across the United States. More specifically, Philadelphia. July 15, 2025, there was an attempted robbery of a Brinks truck in Philadelphia. July 22nd, 2025, there was another attempted robbery of a Brinks truck in Elkins Park, which isn't in Philly technically, but it's a suburb located right on the outskirts of the city. August 2025, there was a successful robbery in Elkins Park. And in October 2025, there was another attempted robbery of a Brinks truck in Philadelphia. This would lead to the arrest of two men in connection of these incidents. Now, when it comes to taking shit, Philly always knew how to do it. Me being the historian I am, I did some digging, and Philadelphia is actually home to what America considers the first bank robbery ever, where a man by the name of Isaac Davis stole $162,821,000, equivalent to $4.3 million today. This wasn't an armed robbery. It was considered a quiet heist, as he's able to steal money just by observing a locksmith creating the vault doors. He himself, Isaac, was a carpenter, just a regular guy working at the bank, and he would take full advantage of that. This genius would then get caught trying to deposit some of the money, some of the stolen money that he stole from that bank, into that same bank. He was trying to deposit some of the stolen money into the bank. Eventually, he got caught. Now, you can't talk about armed robberies without mentioning LA, which at one point was considered the bank robbery capital of the United States. In the 1980s and 90s, over 17,000 robberies took place. Yes, 17,000, with 1992 being the peak year, with over 2,641 robberies taking place that year. At one point, there would be a robbery every 40 to 45 minutes in the county. But that's insane. This era would also give rise to what the feds dubbed the baby bandits. This were a bunch of young boys, some as young as 13 years old, were carrying out armed robberies, bank robberies. And a lot of these bandits weren't carrying out these robberies by themselves. Introducing Robert Brown, aka Casper. This is a guy who played a big part in those very numbers I just mentioned. He played a big part in ramping up those numbers. Robert Brown, aka Casper, he was a rolling 60 Crip from LA, and he would be implicated in at least 175 bank robberies. and he himself wouldn't carry out these robberies. What would he do? Recruit young, vulnerable boys who more than likely is trying to get down with the Rolling 60 Crips and use them to carry out these robberies for him. And this method was effective, very effective. At their peak, the so-called Band of Bandits was hitting up roughly 5 banks a day. Remember that one novel written back in the day, Oliver Twist? And in the book, Oliver Twist was being taken advantage of by the one gang leader, Fagin. This is just a real-life version of it. Robert Brown, Casper, this is Fagin, and he's recruiting all the young boys to go do the stealing for him. He would eventually be arrested and charged and receive a 30-year sentence, at only the age of 23, by the way. September 1997, Dunbar Armored, a transit and security services company. Their Los Angeles depot would be robbed of $18.9 million. Now remember, this is 1997. $18.9 million is equivalent to $38.8 million today. This would be the most prolific robbery in American history at that time, as far as the amount of money stolen. And these dudes actually got away clean until somebody made a ridiculous mistake. This is 28-year-old Alan Pace, the mastermind of the heist. He actually was an employee. He was the regional safety inspector, so he knew all the ins and outs of the facility. He then recruited 5 childhood friends. His right-hand man, Eugene Hill, would help Pace recruit and plan the heist. And these men would execute this with perfection. Now Pace would be under investigation because one of the employees and one of the victims of the robbery, who was present at the time, would state that they recognized Pace's voice. He would be interrogated, and he would also be given a lie detector test that he would fail. He failed whatever questions that were asked by the feds. But even though he failed, they had nothing. They had no evidence. Even with a $250,000 cash reward, these men were able to dodge law enforcement. They laid low, they were smart with their money, they didn't do nothing crazy, they didn't stand out, and they were good until Eugene Hill made the most amateur of amateur mistakes. He would approach a real estate broker with cash. The cash was bound together with the original branded currency straps. You know those straps that you get from a bank, that, you know, the bank has their personal brand, the personal strap around it? Those straps were still on it, still on the money, as this man gave that cash to the broker. 2 years later.
Hey, bro, come on now, dawg. Come on, man.
Like, bro, when I heard this story and I read up on it, I was so disappointed. When I found out how they got caught, I'm like, bro, what the hell? Not trying to promote being a criminal or anything, but I mean, goddamn, these dudes did everything right. Up until this dude just messed every damn thing up. The feds would do some digging, and they saw Eugene rented a U-Haul that day, the day of the robbery. And that was enough. He would be picked up by the police, and he would flip on everybody else and sell everybody else the hell out. And before you know it, everybody else was charged, and time was being handed out left and right. Pace received 24 years. Eugene was sentenced to 9 years. Eric Boyd fought his charges. He was one of the main gunmen. He received 17 years due to his use of a firearm, and he has a prior record. And the rest got between 8 to 10 years. Now, when I was a kid, my neighbor came and gave me a movie. This was back in the early 2000s, so you know, little CD. He was a kid himself, a little bit older than me, about three years older than me, and he gave it to me. Go watch this, you're gonna like it. And that movie was named 44 Minutes. It was about a North Hollywood shootout that actually happened back in 1997. These were 2 bank robbers by the name of Larry Phillips Jr. and Emil Mataserano. These 2 dudes were in the process of robbing a Bank of America branch located in North Hollywood, LA. But as they were entering the bank to carry out the robbery, a squad car would be driving by and see them before they even made entry. And these dudes, aside from being armed to the teeth and having body armor on and ski masks, they were big dudes. Larry Phillips stood about 6 feet tall and weighed about 230 pounds. Emil Mataserano was about 6'3" and weighed 270 pounds. So you could imagine, when the police officers saw these guys rolling up in there, it was probably an intimidating sight to say the least. They would quickly realize that the police were waiting on them. And instead of surrendering, these dudes walk out of the bank and engage the police.
Situation, we're going to stay overhead as long as we can. I can see 2 gunmen are leaving.
In a brazen and bold almost an hour-long shootout. That's why the movie was called 44 Minutes. It was a 44-minute shootout. When the smoke cleared, both robbers were killed. 12 police officers and 8 civilians were injured, and over 2,000 rounds were fired. This attempted bank robbery and shootout would change policing, not just in LA, but nationwide. Police departments, instead of just relying on their standard sidearms, they started carrying patrol rifles and also superior ammunition. Phillips and Matasaurano were in possession of armor-piercing bullets, which did just that, pierce armor and rip through cars. The fact that no police officers and civilians was killed that day is nothing less than a miracle.
They can to keep these gunmen in sight long enough that they can engage them. Now you see the gunman. He's coming out from behind that truck. There he is, walking. He sees the police officers as he comes. We missed it. Okay.
Well, we're going to bring you up to date.
He is shot and killed within about 4 seconds after that.
Police departments across the United States became more militarized, and they spent more money on armored vehicles and specialized gear. These men were trying to escape with only $300,000 that day. Between 2009 and 2011, the FBI would double a bank robber, the Giza Bandit, who was accused of robbing 16 banks in the state of California. He's never been caught. Till this day, nobody knows who the hell this guy is. He was dubbed the Giza Bandit because he looked like an old man. But further examination of surveillance footage and witness accounts, authorities believed that it was just a young man in an old guy mask. The FBI would investigate a company called SPFX, a mask company located in California. They specialize in silicone masks, and they would work with Hollywood actors and directors and all that for their movies. They would investigate the company and look up all the people who bought masks from the company, but they would never find their man. Also given away that this was a young man, his last attempted bank robbery in December of 2011, a dye pack would explode as he was leaving out the bank. And what would he do? Bolt across the goddamn street like a young man, definitely not like an old guy. And it looked like the geezer retired after that. This guy's actually home free. The federal state of limitations is 5 years. And if involving a bank or connected to more serious crimes like RICO cases or violent crime causing death, that statute of limitation can be extended to 10 years or more, which probably isn't going to happen in this case. This guy got away. This movie right here, Heat, was a great movie. It came out in 1995.
Get down.
The LAPD and other police departments as a whole stated that this would never happen because in real life, robbers wouldn't be bold enough to challenge the police in a straight up shootout like this. And 2 years later, 1997, what do you have? These two dudes said, oh yeah? Watch this.
As they fire at police who are all taking cover across the street.
And something about 1997, man. That same year, when the North Hollywood shootout and the Dunbar robbery took place, March of that year, a man by the name of Philip Johnson pulled a massive heist himself. This would happen in Jacksonville, Florida. Philip, a disgruntled employee who worked for Loomis, an armored truck company, as an armed guard, would eventually hold his co-workers at gunpoint and make off with $18.8 million, $29.2 million today. He would move to Mexico City while leaving most of the money stashed in a North Carolina storage unit. 5 months later, he would be arrested by Border Patrol agents heading to Houston, Texas. He would eventually get a 25-year sentence. And just recently, March 31st, 2024, Sylmar, Los Angeles.
Now to Los Angeles, where tonight they are investigating one of the biggest cash heists in LA history. Up to $30 million in cash stolen on Easter. How thieves got in and out. Victor Kendo from Los Angeles tonight.
Tonight, one of the largest cash heists in LA history. The LAPD and FBI now investigating the theft of up to $30 million from a money storage facility, according to law enforcement sources. Those sources saying the theft happened in this Garda-World facility in Sylmar. The thieves entering the building through the roof Easter Sunday. They then accessed the money storage area, which may have been a vault. No alarms were set off.
Some real-life Ocean's 11 shit, bro. $30 million. That number was downgraded to $20 million. Either way, this is now the largest theft out of all of them, surpassing a Dunbar heist of $19 million. This investigation is still ongoing, which to me is shady as hell, but hey, nobody's been caught so far. And it's been 2 years, so let's see how this plays out. Americans have always been infatuated with taking shit, or at least the idea of taking shit. Everybody loves the successful criminal, the outlaw, the bad guy, who has the nuts to challenge the establishment and just flat out take what he desires or wants. You see, most people don't abide by the law because they're good people and because of morals. It's because of repercussion. The fear of prison, the fear of death. Repercussion is what keeps society in check, if we're really being honest. So when you have individuals who flat out break the rules, and these individuals run the risk of dealing with those repercussions, there's a level of respect and admiration people have for those men and women in some cases. I'm not saying to be a damn bank robber, but I am saying I understand what the infatuation is about. Me personally, I love money too, and I'm gonna be a millionaire myself one day, but I actually want to be free to enjoy my money. So the legitimate route is the route for me, and I would suggest anybody else who's trying to get paid out here to take the same route. But we all know that there'll always be folks who's willing to risk it all. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, the Dunbar heist, out of the $18.9 million stolen, when they all got arrested, the feds was only able to recover $5 million. All these men are now free. Stay dangerous, people. Till next time.
This truck is too much money.